Hello, everyone, and welcome to my flipped classroom part two. Today, very exciting, I'm going to be talking to you about the very beginnings of film, how the camera came about, what were some inventions that had an influence on the camera, and who were some players and collaborators that came together to create the first projector slash camera. So, first, I want to talk to you about the man you're looking at right now. This man is from a film called The Great Train Robbery. Came out in 1903. It was directed by Edwin S. Porter. And this was one of the first films that actually told a story. So when film was first invented, people were so excited to use it that they were just shooting clips of everyday life. Okay, there was no real stories to it. These were called actualities. But what The Great Train Robbery did is it told a story. And it's only about 12 minutes long, but it's still really cool to see that we can broaden the spectrum and go beyond just shooting clips of everyday life and move on to shooting actual stories. So, we're going to talk a little bit about the phanatoscope, the kinematoscope, and even Thomas Edison, the inventor of electricity. He was also a huge player when it came to creating the first camera or cameras. So many inventors, scientists, manufacturers, they came together and they said, if you have a series of individual pictures and you set them in motion, meaning you play one after the other, it's going to work like a flip book and it's going to create a term called the persistence of vision or movement. Okay? So, a number of technologies from simple optical toys to mechanical inventions related to motion and vision were developed in the early to late 19th century. And they were going to be precursors or influences to the first set of cameras. Now, before there was cameras, before there was movie theaters, there was vaudeville shows, okay? And people would pay about a nickel to go to these. And what a vaudeville show consisted of was a variety of different acts, from singing to dancing to monologues to people with amazing abilities, and audiences loved it. Um, I want to talk a little bit about Phantasmagoria, which was shown in these vaudeville shows or Victorian playhouses. And a phantasmagoria is essentially a projection of a frightening image on the wall or ceiling. And it usually went along with whatever the story was. And it really entertained and scared the audience as it was something that they had never seen before. And it brought a lot of life to the story and or play. Now let's talk about some of the inventions that had an influence on the first camera. First thing you need to know is the phanatoscope or the phenakistoscope. Okay, this was a device that created a fluent illusion of motion. It's regarded as one of the first forms of moving media entertainment, and it paved the way for future motion picture. Today, I guess it could be compared to a GIF animation, as it's a short duration, plays as a loop until the viewer stops it. Okay, and this was invented by Joseph Plateau. There was probably a couple dozen scopes invented, to be honest. Not all by Joseph Plateau, but another one was a zoetrope, which was a rotating cylinder with images inside, and of course, it gave the illusion of motion. This was developed by William Horner. And then there was the phasmatrope, the praxinoscope, and I could go on and on. But basically, the way that these things worked was that you would spin them as fast as you could, and it would create the illusion of motion. Um, this one right here is the phanatoscope, or phanoscope, excuse me, and you would spin this as fast as you could, and you would look through the little slits right here, and they would give you the illusion of motion. So really cool stuff. Edward Muybridge, he was a British inventor in the late 19th century. He developed the zoopraxiscope, or as many people like to call it, the Wheel of Life. And basically, I would describe it as a vinyl record looking kind of device that you would spin, and it would, of course, give you the illusion of motion. I'm just going to read you a little excerpt here. A primitive motion picture projector machine that also created the illusion of movement by projecting images rapidly displayed in succession onto screens from photos printed on a rotating glass disc. So it was really cool stuff. And so this was able to be projected on a wall or a screen, and it kind of gave it a little bit of a better effect than the phanatoscope. Next up, we have Thomas Edison and William K.L. Dixon. William was Thomas's right-hand man. Um, they're going to develop the kinetograph, which captures actual motion pictures for the first time. And this is really exciting because no longer are we looking at illusions, okay? We're looking at actual motion pictures. The kinetograph became the basis for the more popular hand-cranked camera, which came about shortly after. Um, the first public demonstration of a motion picture was the Dixon greeting, and this was done in 1892. And essentially, it was just a man taking off his hat, nodding his head, and thus greeting the audience. But people loved it. Why did people love it? Because they'd never seen it before, and it was really exciting stuff. The second clip was Corbett and Courtney, which was a stage boxing match, which was really exciting for the audience to see. Not quite telling a story, but still a really cool visual set of um, clips. Right here we have some of the earliest clips that people were viewing. We had the Cats boxing, which came out in 1894. Before that was the Falling Cat. And then Eugene Sandow was a bodybuilder, which was kind of a rare profession back in those days. And basically, it's about 30 seconds of him flexing. So these filmmakers were just really excited to show these actualities, and people love them. Okay, but eventually the spectrum is going to be broadened, and we're going to stray away from just seeing clips of everyday life and actually seeing actual films with stories. So that's it for the very beginnings of cinema. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.